Good evening, brothers, sisters, and siblings, and welcome back to the Vibe 2 Meeting Podcast. I, of course, am your host, KJ Collelo, and a very reflective KJ Collelo at that. Not internally, I'm just very pale. Joining me today, live from the Cube, is...
Robin Campbell, joining you live from Ashton's Cube on his desk.
How is Cube life, Robin?
I expected to be a little claustrophobic, but, it's not as bad as I thought.
TARDIS rules, bigger on the inside.
Exactly. My one complaint is that I've only been getting candy as a form of, food source from Ashton. So if he's, willing to, shrink down some fruits or some shit and throw them in here, that would be really greatly appreciated. So
while Ashton is up at the Rochester Indie Comic Expo, Robin will hang out here for the next couple weeks, co-host with me. It's like the good old days.
Except I'm in a cube.
Everyone get used to Robin for the next week, next 2 weeks, and then go back to forgetting about them.
I'll still be on the cube. Don't worry about it. I'll be around.
Before we get into our main topic of today's episode, a Vibe Too Many podcast has become about as famous as we could ever be.
Fuck yeah.
For our pledges, we pledge stuff at the end of every episode. Honestly, I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes thing that I never meant for that to happen. It just started. I had a good one from last week. Ashton and I talked about Maul Shadow Lord, and one of the contentions we had with it was about how everyone seems to survive Order 66. Every new Star Wars media, there's some other motherfucker that survived
Jedi
Order 66.
Who somehow escaped the Purge. So how effective was the Purge then?
That was our point. So I made a pledge at the end of it that Robin does not know about because the episode is, as of recording this, too new for them to have watched it. I said I would go watch Revenge of the Sith and count how many people died due to Order 66. I was like, I'm going to count how many people died in Order 66. And I said, I kept it in the video. Robin doesn't know what I'm talking about here. But I said I'm going to be on my James A. Janice stuff. And I'm going to do the dead meat kill counts on it. So if we could get the kill count music into the numbers right here. On my James A. Janice stuff, by my count, 32 people died as a result of Revenge of the Sith. Now, that does come with some qualifiers. I said I would kill count Order 66 in Revenge of the Sith. I didn't count everybody that died in Revenge of the Sith. This started around the hour mark when Emperor Palpatine says, execute Order 66, and has Anakin siege the Jedi Temple. So anyone that died before that, like Count Dooku, like Mace Windu, like Kit Fisto, they did not go on the count. I also did not count any of the deaths in any of the animated or video game media. I did look up some lists, but I didn't have the time to jot them down.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort. You pledged for Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith.
I specifically said Revenge of the Sith. So there are 4 deaths in that montage where they're showing the stormtroopers gunned down Jedi. There was one more in the Jedi Temple. There is a shot of the 501st shooting up the Jedi Temple, and there's a bunch of lightsabers in the background, but none of them go down, and plus it adds to something later. So the only one I could count was the one Jedi I see get shot and go down. There are 7 younglings in the room with Anakin. I waffled whether or not to count him because we never see him die. Obi-Wan does say to Padme he saw the recording of him killing younglings, so I assume that happened off screen, plus I felt it safe enough that Anakin entered the room to kill these Jedi. With the Stormtroopers, it's a little more questionable because they're terrible. They suck at their job. And then an extra one for Jet Lucas, who dies trying to save Bail Organa. Before, when I said I couldn't count the bodies that the Stormtroopers were shooting at in the Jedi Temple, well, that's because Yoda and Obi-Wan returned to the temple. And there's a bunch of bodies on the floor that I had to fucking freeze frame and count. So that adds 15 more bodies to the count.
Damn.
And from what I can tell, I think I might have overdone it because I think I double counted the one guy in the beginning. But it looks to me to be the same area as the prior shot with all the Stormtroopers shooting. This is just after the carnage. Plus, I think there were 4 Stormtroopers or something there. So, I'm confident in saying that those are the same bodies. And then finally, we do have 3 more holotape victims. We technically only see one die, because then it cuts to a reaction shot of Obi-Wan, but we do hear the fighting from the holotape in the background, so I was confident counting them.
A lot of people survived Order 66, apparently.
And that's where I was like, okay, look, it's more than I thought it was going to be in the movie. Like 32 in less than an hour. 32 bodies is a pretty decent chunk to rack up in there. However, as a military operation.
So speaking of space and people with powers.
Just give me 1 second. My brother's texting me. Got to handle something.
No worries.
All right. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional.
You act like we're professionals.
Oh, shit. I forgot to turn my camera on. What were we talking about?
I think we just kind of finished up our episode 3 recap, and I think we were gonna maybe transition into the episode. I don't know.
I don't know. Are we?
No.
Do you really think I was gonna have you here to talk about fucking Invincible?
Damn, this is karma.
Yeah, you motherfucker! Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, sisters, and siblings, by the time this goes up, 1 year and 1 day ago, we released A Spoonful of Murder. And then immediately took it down because the color grading didn't work, so it got re-uploaded like 3 days later. But still,
it's fine.
Still a year to the date. And Robin thought I was going to come talk about fucking Invincible.
Dude, I watched that show twice. It's just karma. It's just karma.
It sucks, doesn't it? When we first tried to roll out this podcast, we had just released Spoon. We hadn't even released it yet. We were like waiting on the release, and I was like, oh yeah, we should do a whole rollout. And Robin drops me a text, and they were like, I kind of want to hold off on that till I got all my ducks in a row and it's like officially released. How about we do like season 2 of Andor? And I'm like, fuck.
Right.
This is like less than a week. This was like less than a week in advance. So I like binged watched season 2 of Andor, which to be fair, like it's a great show. I wasn't disappointed to watch it. Like the day of shooting, I had a whole thesis where I was going to be like, Andor is just kind of Star Wars version of the movie Casablanca. So I rewatched Casablanca. I was even late to shooting. We made a big thing, and I was like, oh, isn't it funny we're not going to talk about this today? And Robin goes like, oh, by the way, and proceeded to, in front of me, upload A Spoonful of Murder.
And then I went, all right, so we're going to be interviewing KJ Collelo about his role as Big Ed / the assistant director on the indie short film, A Spoonful of Murder.
Yeah, and so for various reasons, those initial podcast episodes never came out. And we start the podcast back up. And, like, when we started up, I'm like, oh, in May, we got to talk about A Spoonful of Murder. And then, life happens. I get a new co-host.
We kind of forget that is a thing.
more behind-the-scenes action. It's not like Robin has stepped completely away from the podcast. They're helping us produce the whole fucking thing. And so we do the May schedule, and we did that like 2 months ago. We had done May's schedule before we'd even come back. And then like last month, I'm like, oh shit, Spoonful's year anniversary is coming up. And we don't have an episode slotted for it. And then I go to look up when we released it because I'm like, maybe we can flex out the Super Mario one because that's not really like time specific. We could do that at any time. And I saw it came out on a week that Ashton just so happened to not be recording with us and Robin was going to be recording with me. And I was like,
perfect.
Fuck yes. So for a month, I have had, by the way, this is the real costume I wore. I was going to go buy eggs. But luckily, we had some eggs already downstairs.
So I got some eggs. You had those behind you until just now.
I was like, when I turned the camera back on, I'm like waiting for Robin to say something, and Robin's just like, "Yeah, this is normal."
Once you turned the camera back on, and I saw you were wearing the shirt, I was like, "Oh wait."
We talked about doing a whole rollout. I decided not to remind Robin of it because I was afraid Robin would be like, oh god, we should flex something off the schedule. Let's not talk about Invincible. Let's talk about Spoonful. And I was like, no, this has to be a surprise.
Damn, so, yeah, I did so much prep for Invincible. I had so many points to make.
So I think this is the third time I've gotten you on this podcast with a costume change.
Good stuff.
Because I did it twice in one episode.
I feel like now I'm just got to be expecting it every time I come on.
Robin, how many pages of notes did you tell me you took?
4.
Yeah.
Not that bad.
Yeah, you did. You did. You took 4 pages.
I took 4 pages. The whole point of like this movie was to just like be able to have fun, you know, like I had
Yeah.
never really made a comedy before. I'm usually like horror, thriller, depressing shit. So I kind of was like, hey, you know what? Like, this is my senior thesis. It's probably not going to be the best. It definitely won't be the best movie I've ever made, or ever make. The whole kind of experiment was like just to be able to like do a fun thing with friends and like peers and colleagues who I respect and who respect me, that we can like all just get together and do something and like commit to it and like give it our all, but like still have fun while doing it and not like overthink it too much. So it is this super silly and over the top and absurd detective noir parody, but like I still think it turned out fantastic. Everybody gave their complete all to it, but we were still able to have fun.
Let's start the story back, not just 1 year from now. Robin, tell the folks at home when you came up with this idea.
So A Spoonful of Murder was originally developed in my film studies class in my high school. So we got into like little groups. We had to write a detective noir movie. We like exchanged ideas, and it would like primarily fell to me that I was like writing, directing, and you know, we all like kind of compounded ideas, and it kind of became this first iteration of Spoonful of Murder, which we shot and filmed. And then that was it. It was over. It was put on a shelf. I didn't acknowledge it for years. And then, you know, I'm in film school for a few years, and I'm still like, you know, ruminating on what my inevitable senior thesis is going to be. And, you know, I've met and seen a lot of different senior theses, and a lot of them are like, oh, a filmmaker unpacks his trauma. Another filmmaker unpacks his trauma. Another filmmaker unpacks his trauma. And, you know, like a lot of, like, understandable and a cool story to tell. But it just felt like a lot of people were, like, going that route. So I was like, you know what? I also wanted to go that route at one point. But you know what? Why don't I try to do something a little different? I ran back into the original Spoonful of Murder short, and I watched it, and I was like, you know what? This was actually, like, really fun to make. And actually pretty funny. So what if I actually tried to like rewrite this and make it a little bit more modern, a little bit more me, and see what happens. So for the course of like 2 years, I was writing and rewriting and rewriting, and after those 2 years were over, we started a shoot, and here we are now with a full on reshot movie out there.
So about almost exactly a year before we were releasing Spoonful, Robin and I released the first film that we had like officially worked together on, which was The Waiting Room. Flash forward, we're finishing it, and Robin's like, I got it done, come over and let's watch it. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm so excited. I get there, and we're watching it, and you know, we're just talking. You know, we've been friends for, you know, now over a decade. At that point, we were damn near on a decade. And Robin's like, yeah, I've been thinking, you know, I got to think about my senior thesis. I thought about this, and hands me the script for A Spoonful of Murder. They clearly wanted to do it. Like, I'm not saying I'm the one that gave them the idea. They were clearly like, oh, you know, this is what I'm thinking about doing, saying this is what I want to do. And I was like, we got to do this. When it came to like doing Spoonful of Murder, I was like, no, I need to be in. They need to see my face attached to this. And I really wanted to play Tony.
Fair enough.
I did.
He's a pretty great character.
I was like,
I mean, it's fair enough.
it's a great character. It was the type of character I love, where it's someone trying so hard to be like, you know, the straight man. I said that, and Robin was basically like, yeah, you know, I got some other people for it. None of them wound up panning out. And then I was like, okay, so for my second choice, I want to be this character Big Ed, who in the original script has like 3 lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I got the script back again, and I was the like secondary villain.
Pretty much, yeah.
And
I would say more
again,
like the
I
fake
wasn't
out, I guess.
We could transition to talking about like pre-production. There are entire lines, entire characters we cast
Fully cut.
that were cut out of the movie.
Yeah, just for time and yeah, just time's sake, really.
Give me 1 second. My grandfather is actually calling me.
You.
I promise there's no fake out. I'm back.
Cool. Because this was my fake out.
Nice.
I was your grandfather. I called you.
Now Robin has a hat.
The official Tony DeMarco hat that was featured in A Spoonful of Murder. Officially not for sale.
I mean, if you're willing to give us enough money.
If you got $1 million.
Please. We had worked on the script, and then you mentioned something very important, and that was finding someone for Tony DeMarco. I kind of assumed it was going to be cast with people we just kind of knew, because I'm like, there's no way we're going to get other people to be able to do this. And then I get a text one day that was like, hey, we have 80 applicants to go over. Do you want to come over and go through them? And Robin had sent me like the backstage link we used, and I saw one of the characters on it was Big Egg, and I was like, that's my role fucked. Because there's no way I'm beating out 80 people for this role.
Well, seems like you did.
Yeah, sure, it totally wasn't nepotism.
I mean, it wasn't. Nobody really impressed me for Big Ed. I put it on there. I put Big Ed on there to see if anybody would like apply, and I'd be like interested in them, interested in their take on the character. Nobody interested me that much.
We sat through so many auditions. There were 2 people whose audition tapes we saw. Not even a callback, not them reading lines for us, just whatever they had up on their page. There were 2 people where we were like,
that's it.
They're getting cast. And funnily enough, Tony DeMarco was not one of them.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were just perfect.
We saw Teresa's audition tape where she just had some Teresa plays Esmeralda in it. She had some wild line deliveries. We were like, yeah, that's what this needs. This needs someone.
We need out of it. And Teresa, I mean, it was an absolute pleasure to work with. I mean, it was a pleasure to work with all of these people, but Teresa really went kind of above and beyond. I mean, the first day we did rehearsals, I didn't tell anybody to bring anything or prepare anything. Teresa shows up, and she had bought a whole pack of fake eggs. And for the whole week leading up to our first rehearsal, not even shooting, just rehearsal, she was carrying around the eggs in her purse and talking to them to get into character. This is a silly little thing about eggs and spoons that I'm making for fun, and she took that and ran with it, and she fully embraced the character, wanted to fully understand the character.
There is a thing where whenever I think about her, and she was a lovely person to be around. I've got another story about her, but in a sec. But afterwards, I was like, I don't know how much I know about Teresa now, because she would just stay so, and like, this is what you hear about like people being assholes, where it's like, oh, I've never met the real, Jeremy Strong. Like, I was like, I don't think I've ever met the real Teresa, but I still had a fucking amazing time standing next to her every single day. I had this problem during auditions, basically up until this conversation we had with Teresa, where we're like, do you think anyone else finds this funny, or is it just us that we're just giggling about
Especially
eggs?
Because, during these auditions and during these rehearsals and everything, all these people that we've hired are professionals. So they're not laughing. They're not reacting to any of this dialogue.
They're trying to get a role.
Like, oh, shit, I mean, is it not that funny?
And we were, like, waiting on someone. And I think we're fairly close to shooting at this point, maybe, like, a couple months away. We're just all bullshitting and we're talking. And we were like, I can't remember what exactly the context was, but we talked about, like, I don't know if anyone else finds this funny. And Teresa was like, when I first saw those audition slides, I was like, I have to be in this. This is me. This is for me. This is everything I want. And I was looking at Rame because we were chuckling because we were like,
that was probably the
if
biggest
you never auditioned, we were still gonna cast you if you bombed your audition. The other guy we cast just based on his tape was Justin, who plays the main villain, Alias. I think I was the one where we saw him. He was like introducing a competition, but he was doing it like as an evil person.
Very
and I'm like,
expressive.
That's
and very
him.
Evil and
That's
very
him.
Intense. And like,
that's
Alias,
him.
Alias is our main villain. It's pronounced Elias. He's the big main villain, and he was supposed to have this like air of superiority about him because he's like a more upper class fella, and was supposed to be like dignified but also calculated and creepy and murderous. And Justin just like had that energy about him that fit that so well, of like that, he was still prim and proper and had his own respect and codes or whatever, but then still had that cutting edge and intensity to his voice and expressive emotions that like really resonated with what we were trying to get from Alias.
And then he was not afraid at the end to go just as big, just milk it. He
was not afraid to really punch those like higher, more expressive moments that might like make you feel a little silly in this silly movie about spoons and eggs.
Fearless. He had to threaten guys in a like tiny room with like
spoon.
Multiple cameras on him, with this
with a giant
big
spoon.
Fucking obnoxious spoon, and he had to seem intimidating doing it. But there was not one take where we were like, that's not that intense. Every time.
Just
Like, the week before shooting, we found out he had, like, a casting call into LA.
Yeah, so we had to... I forgot about that.
Uh-huh. And we were like, oh, God, are we
had
gonna...
to, like,
I was
run
afraid
around
we
at
were
the
going to
last
lose him.
second to kind of rearrange the schedule.
And he was, you know, like, hey, I can't do these 2 days. Anything outside of that, I'm down. It wound up leading to, like, now this man is shooting a movie the day before he goes on a flight and the day after he gets off a flight. That jet lag and everything, he just...
But he
and
pushed
didn't
through
say
it
a word
all
about it.
and did fantastic.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite performances in that movie because he's so... and you can tell he's not taking this as a joke.
Nope, not at all. He's very serious.
With Tony, we called back so many actors.
I mean, you know, Tony is the crux of the movie. He's the main character.
Yeah, we
you
wanted
gotta
to get
make
him
sure
right.
you get your Tony right. So we had a lot of people, but one person did stick out to us, and it wasn't from the performance. It wasn't from the delivery. It wasn't from anything that was like typical actor performance. It stood out to us because of the fantastic lighting and cinematography and like moody design
His
of the
self-tape
overall
looked
look.
great.
So we call this guy back. We do a lot of different callbacks, and we filter through people, and eventually he gets this role. And we find out that this fantastic man that got the role of Tony DeMarco, Chris Gramuglia, is a cinematographer. So of course he has a nice, pretty design for his audition tape, and that's what most caught our eye out of that tape.
Yeah.
So
Rob and I remember specifically being like, look at the lighting in this
it looks
fucking
so
self-tape.
like I'm pretty sure like that's what earned him a callback. Everyone else was like delivering it pretty straight and reading the lines. Chris came in with a fucking impression right off the bat, with like a silly detective noir impression right off the bat. I don't think there was a single person on set that he didn't try connect with and like laugh with. And if we had issues on set, because he's, you know, a little bit older than us, he had more experience, he was able to help us with some technical difficulties that we had on set. He was just above and beyond, just a fantastic guy.
When we were on set, everyone kind of looked up to him in a way because he'd been doing this longer than anyone, and he kind of set the tone for the set.
Right.
You know,
like it's very important.
I mean,
like what I've said before.
We've
like
released some behind the scenes things. He's joking around. Him being lightness, it kind of like lightened the whole room, and we were all like, okay,
absolutely,
we got this.
And you know, like I said earlier, like I wanted that to be the energy on the set. And sure, like there's only so much that I can do as a director to like make that happen, especially when I'm even stressed. So to have like a leading actor that was so like ready and willing and able to like take the reins of like setting that tone of like being joking and like connecting with the actors and the crew, and not making it like this big like, oh, they're the actors, we can't talk to them. Like, no, let's all we're all here to make the same product. Let's all collaborate and let's all be able to be comfortable with each other.
We did a lot of auditions for our last main character, Donna.
Yes.
And we found an actress we liked. And then, unfortunately, they got like an actual job. And she was great.
She did a great job on the audition. She had the role. And I don't even think we got to rehearsals before she got casted in something else and like needed to leave. No hard feelings, totally understand, whatever. So then we had to go back into casting. And honestly, I mean, I think everything happens for a reason. We then met the fantastic Micah Mazza, who took on the role of Donna Schaefer, and they were fantastic. Also another amazing, funny, talented person who really took this role and ran with it and really embraced it and made it their own. I think they brought a unique approach and like vibe to it that we didn't really plan on. It was missing that personal energy that we needed an actor to inject into it, and they brought it. Like Donna and Tony both evolved as characters and changed even based on how well Chris and Micah's chemistry and energy together on set worked together. Like they were two peas in a pod all days of shooting, like just hanging out, throwing jokes at each other. And you know, it started as Donna being more of like the straight man character, and then with Micah on set and how well them and Chris, their energy just like clicked so well, and they both kind of embraced this like sillier vibe to the characters and ended up changing the whole like thesis of the idea. It changed to, oh, both of these characters like are kind of bumbling idiots. They're the worst on the force, and that change I think is very, very evident in the final product. I think we really lucked out on how the chips fell. So yeah,
everything I said about Chris, that goes for Micah as well.
I'm super humbled and lucky to have these two actors who are more than willing to go above and beyond to create this world that I've been dreaming about.
I was not in those auditions. Micah's the only one I didn't help cast. I don't even think I ever saw a clip of Micah's audition. I have no idea what Micah's audition was like. So my first time meeting them was probably in a Zoom like rehearsal, and my first time like really meeting them was on set, and they are the coolest people on the planet. Professional,
Just
still professional,
open and professional. I feel like there's a lot of scenes that were like intense or weird or silly or maybe a bit too ridiculous that would have been really hard to do if we didn't feel like this level of like support and understanding and like
there's literally
fun amongst the cast and crew.
There's a picture somewhere of a scene that got cut where we literally just put a camera on Chris and we were having him just say some lines, and he was just repeating these lines and we were shouting out ideas for lines. And there's a picture, because, you know, in the camera, it's just Chris, like, on the chair. If you were to zoom out a little bit, there is almost 20 people hunched around the camera in, like, this little area. I think I was standing on
just
a couch
staring at his take.
or something. It was this environment of, like, everyone's opinion matters. If you have an idea for a line, it might be... we're going to try it.
And then there was KJ.
I don't have it. I don't have an interesting...
KJ also was great.
I don't have an interesting audition story. I was like, I want to be a part of this. And Robin was like, fuck yeah.
I mean,
you did rewrite the part to make it bigger.
I mean, it's weird to say that I wrote this for you because I didn't write it to be you.
No, I don't think you
wrote
were
it
even
as a character that I
it.
knew you could play well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I just liked this idea of this Big Ed character that we created because essentially he was just like some random like goon that we had in like one of the older renditions, and then I was chopping and chopping and chopping. I finally reduced him down to like a character that I liked, and I kind of liked this idea of like this red herring character that the detectives are sent to find this guy who's, you know, the big bad, and then you open the door and he's just like the nicest random stoner dude.
You've probably
ever.
met this guy before.
Exactly. I just like I loved that like idea. So we have this big scene of like this big anticipation. We knock on his door. Big Ed opens it. He saunters out with this big intense look with the glasses on, and then he whips him off and he's like, "Hey, you guys here for the brownies?" You, Chris, and Micah's energy played off each other so well because the one scene, like the coffee order, that whole scene.
We'll talk about
fantastic.
that more in a second.
And then you and Micah in the actual confrontation, also fantastic. Like with the energy going back and forth.
That opening line you were talking about. I probably said that 30 times the night before. And then when we were setting up shots, I would be...
I bet you'll never forget
I was in a room with Chris, like, still trying to hound this, and Chris is just saying shit that's making me laugh, too.
I still am blown away that the funniest thing that we got out of Spoonful is something that Chris just came up with.
We could talk about that now.
Because literally, like, we had time, we were setting something up, so right before KJ's scene... We have KJ, Micah, and Chris all practicing in like the hallway.
In like a staircase.
And we're all setting up. I'm setting up cameras, whatever. We finally get back together, and Chris is like, "Hey, so I got like an idea for this thing. Can I just like..." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, try it.
Whatever
we'll do
want.
one for safety and just like do it as it's written, and then we could try whatever." So Chris takes that and creates this whole monologue of a coffee order. And we do it a few times.
That involves a dragon.
I can't keep myself together. I'm standing right behind the camera. I had to remove myself and go stand myself in the stairwell so that I didn't keep ruining the takes. But we did it, I want to say, twice before, like, and each time it got more elaborate. Mm-hmm. And then by the third time, they had it perfectly down what this improv monologue was going to be and exactly how everyone was going to react. And not a word of it was written. Not a word of it was tried.
I didn't even know half of it was
in
happening.
its entirety in the movie because it's hilarious.
Poor me had a camera fucking on my face. I do not have a good poker face. Like, I kept, like, trying to hold in breaking. Chris and I both broke a few times, and I think I was causing him to break.
It's hard.
Where they're shouting about the Bean King of Weehawken. And what it does is Chris says it, and then Micah repeats it, and then Chris yells it. And when he yelled it, you can see me on camera. Like, if you go watch the scene, I fucking jump. I literally go like, oh God, because I didn't expect, like, that sort of intensity coming
reaction
from there. So I have to stay in character the entire scene. So I'm doing part of the scene just like biting on my sunglasses like this.
You know, this is the scene that I mentioned earlier is like my favorite scene of the whole thing where like Tony, Esmeralda, Alias, Donna, all characters I've created before in my OG like high school script. Big Ed is like the first original character in this thing, and it's like most modern in terms of my comedy writing. It was already my favorite scene because of like all of those things, and then on top of that, Chris just enhanced it so much more.
It's the funniest line in the movie.
He created this insane little monologue.
I remember doing the scene, so funny. Cameras cut, and I'm like, that's not going to be in the movie. We're talking about a.
And then it ended up in
We're
the movie.
talking about a dragon.
I could
and
have
the
saved a whole like
King of
3 minutes if I
Weehawken.
cut that bit.
Like this is too absurd even for us. And I remember seeing the first
And the whole
cut
thing's in there.
and telling Robin that, and Robin was like, "I'm not fucking cutting that, no matter what." I think Robin would have rather cut everything else in the movie before cutting.
It's a great scene.
In the next scene, you see, like, they put me down in a chair, and we had decided, this was another thing that wasn't in the script, like, I would try to get up again, and Micah would push me down. And let me tell you something, Micah's stronger than they look, because I would get up, and, like, I don't want to do anything half-assed, so I would, like, get up with some intensity, so I would be, like, there, and Micah would just stop all of my weight, and I'm a pretty heavy dude, so I would just slam back into the chair. So when you cut back to me after getting...
Looks good.
After you slam back in the chair, there's this look of, like, surprise on my face. That wasn't acting. That was like, motherfucker, they are strong. Yeah, I got my ass beat on that set. I don't say that to be like, oh, I had such a bad time on set. I wouldn't have traded in for the world. I would have done it more if you had asked.
Well, I'm glad to hear. In that case, here's some brownies. Go jump
good.
off the roof.
I didn't even get any of the brownies. Chris and Micah got the brownies. I didn't get any. And the last memory we all have of shooting is something that Robin's not gonna tell, so I'll tell it. Robin's too not arrogant enough to tell this story. Last day we shot everything.
I'm just gonna hide.
We shot everything. We're cleaning up, and Robin stops the cleanup. And like this, we were all kind of like. We didn't know if we would ever see each other again. So, like, I remember hanging out with Chris, and we were talking about, stuff that he's now working on. Thank God I get to, like, see him do it. Shout out to Bear Dude. Hi, Bear.
Go check it out.
Bear. So, like, we're all talking to each other. Robin stops the set and pointed to every single person there and told them specifically how they helped shooting. And not like, oh, yeah, you helped with the lights. No, we're telling, like, here's what I'm thankful for. This is how you contributed this, that, the other thing to every single of the, like, 20 people we had on set. And then tried to fucking walk away until I grabbed them and made everyone give them a round of applause, in which case the room erupted.
And I was incredibly honored. I think I had teared up a little bit.
You told me you came close.
I was just there being like, hey, I mean, there's no way this would have happened without any of you guys. None of you had to come out here to help me, so thank you. And, I didn't expect anything back because they're already doing me a favor, so it was real nice.
I remember when the last car pulled away, Robin and I were just watching it go down. The second it was out of sight, we just fucking erupted. We were like, holy shit, we actually did it.
We did it.
Other people...
It's done. It's
Yeah,
over. We made it through.
It was like this unbelievable moment that, like, no one else was there to see. It was literally just Robin and I. It
was like
very
the
poetic.
reality of, like...
It's done.
It was like the reality of, like, the fact that it was done, like, and we could finally enjoy the fact that we did, hit.
We had more conversations where we had to, with a straight face, talk about eggs and spoons. Like, we had to look at another actor who we respected and be like, when you're killing him with the spoon, what I want you to... Like, those are conversations we had to have, like, and put aside the absurdity
This is what you're thinking when you're looking at the spoon.
And then every once in a while, we would be, like, in between takes, be like, do you think this is funny?
Are we wasting all of our
Yeah,
time?
Chris, we learned, like, took to the script, because he was like, even if it's bad, it's going to be interesting. We finally knew other people found it funny, but we were like, is there an audience for it? And then we got to premiere the film, which is, like, one of the coolest days of my life.
Finally sitting down in that theater, and I'm just, like, nervously wringing my hands waiting for mine to start to make sure that the color looks good. And it starts in black and white, so, like, black and white looks fine, whatever. So I'm, like, still anxious, and I'm nervous, and I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting, and, like, not even the first punchline happens, but, like, the first semi-joke happens. And we've spent this entire time being like, yeah, no, maybe it's not that funny, I don't know. And I'm not even thinking about funny at the moment. I'm nervous about the color, and I'm waiting for the color to kick in for me to make sure that it looks good. And then the lighter thing happens, and the whole auditorium just starts, like,
laughter,
cracking up.
It was such a perfect joke,
right
too.
From there, like, the anxiety left, and I completely forgot about the color. And I was just like,
we got to enjoy
people
watching
are actually
it.
laughing.
He's monologuing, he does it once, and it doesn't, like... There's some, like, chuckles. And he does it again, and there's some more chuckles. And he tosses the cigarette, pulls out the big-ass vape, and the room fucking cracks up into laughter.
Oh, right.
And I could feel.
from then
I
on,
was
I
sitting.
forgot about the
I was
color.
I was sitting next to Chris. Chris was sitting right next to me, and Robin was like right in front of me, and I could feel all three of us should go like, "Oh God, thank you."
Thank God someone actually found it
Like
funny.
I'm in the only way I could think of to put it is like a little crass, but it was just like my asshole unclenched. It got a bunch of really big laughs at the right moments. It was such a good moment because it was like, okay, we like that was the moment where it was like we did it. There's nothing more we can do from here on out. People enjoyed it.
And then finally the credits roll, and they ask the actors to stand up, and Kurt stands up, and someone not too far from him goes, "Big Ed!"
Standing next to Chris.
And they were too nervous. Apparently, they were a friend of
oh my God, we forgot to shout out
Udellis.
Udellis. This is how I met Udellis, who is a part of this company
They
now.
approach Udellis, and they're like, "Hey, can I?"
They asked if
Big
it was-
Ed,
yeah.
That's so cool. And Udellis is like, "Oh yeah, do you want to meet him?" And they're like, "No, I'm too nervous."
Meanwhile, Udellis only knew me like on that set. Like I would say now, her and I are pretty tight, but she only knew me for 4 days, and I was like kind of her, asshole. This dude. Actor and AD, which are like the two douchiest set roles. I'm extrapolating what I know here, but I'm pretty sure Udellis is like that motherfucker.
I mean, it's understandable. I mean, that means that our movie was effective.
It was,
If people
and
were like starstruck and like, "Oh my God, I get to meet the characters from like my stupid little senior thesis."
Our cast and crew were taking like pictures outside and everything. Me, Chris, and Justin were all like hugging each other and shit. Like that, it had like a profound effect on me. I texted Robin, like as soon as I got home, where I was like holding back tears for a lot of that day, because I was like, oh my God, a little too emotional to say, so we won't go into it.
Moment.
But I was like, I didn't fuck it up. That's new. You hear Robin and I talk about Spoonful. It is this dumb movie about spoons that I think was executed to such a great level because everyone working on it had like the same idea. It's something we talked about in our Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode, where like this movie succeeded because there was a clear vision and everyone bought in. And that's what made Spoonful work, is Robin had this clear vision,
Right.
and we all made sure to help them execute it. But if you hear us talk about it, we talk about it as almost like this religious experience, and that's because to us it is a more profound thing.
A lot of the things that I filmed in the past were like me and actors, or me, one guy, and actors. But like we had 20 people on the set. I've been developing the script for 2 years. We had
like
refining the
departments.
finalized script for like 6 months. We had practiced. We had rehearsed with the actors. We had like talked about the lore and the world with all of them. Like we
know
like,
things about this
was
world
the
that you may
closest
never
to
know.
Exactly. This was the closest to a like professional set that you could probably get with nobody.
Yeah.
Like,
Throughout this whole podcast, I do want to give a huge shout out to the crew of Spoonful, who also helped make this as much of a thing as possible.
absolutely.
Rob, if you actually,
Every single one of them.
if you would be able to like tilt your camera to your right over there, I think you'd see a sign. Yep, that is an egg poster signed by the cast and crew.
Yeah.
Shout out to that
Every
crew.
single name.
A couple unsung heroes, 100%. Georgia, who is our makeup artist, came in on like short notice.
Absolutely.
Killed a prosthetic
Georgia had a
effect,
day notice to do an interesting
and
prosthetic
it looks
effect,
great.
and she knocked it out of the park.
Looks amazing.
No hesitation. Hats off to you, Georgia.
Also, Jonah, who was one of our cam ops, but also hired like he was our IT department.
He was our DIT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had no fucking idea how to do any of that
He
shit.
organized all of our footage very well, and he put it all in folders. So once I opened it up to edit it, everything was where it needed to be. He had generated proxies for me and everything. And then of course, cam operator on top of that, fantastic. Mads, our DP, also another fantastic camera operator, and was a fantastic sounding board for how to set up the camera and
Get
what
some of the
shots
looks
to
we
get. One of my favorite moments of the shoot was doing a dolly shot.
We just
with
put Mads in a
Mads.
shopping cart.
Mads sitting in a laundry cart from my dad's apartment, and we were just pulling him backwards as he's recording the two actors. Caden, also shout out to Caden, super helpful. They also were
Just
bit
as
of
a PA,
last-minute,
but we wound
addition
up
to the
using
crew.
her way more.
Caden was a PA, but Caden ended up doing basically anything we needed. Caden was right there, ready to help out. Shout out to Brianna and Udellis. Both were our sound team. Brianna running the boom pole and Udellis running the sound device. So a bit of a crazy horror story from the set. So we had lav microphones for all the actors, and we had a boom pole. We found out too late that the lav microphones were supposed to record directly to the sound device, but the person who had rented out the lav microphones right before me had set it up in the settings so that instead of recording to the sound device, it recorded to an internal micro SD card. I didn't know this, of course, until I had already returned all the equipment. So we were just shit out of luck with the lavs and just had to rely on the boom audio.
Which wound up sounding really good.
I gotta tell you, the boom audio was so crisp and clear in every single scene that we shot that that the lav microphones were not missed at all. So big shout out to our sound department there. I don't know who else I'm forgetting, but shout out to everybody.
Yeah, we had a big crew.
On that crew. We had a fantastic crew. They all came together and worked together so tirelessly to make an awesome movie, and I think it fully came to fruition.
And on 12-hour days,
fantastic.
Man. Those were long
12-hour days
in small apartments.
I don't think we had a single complaint.
That is a spoonful of murder. Vibe Too Many podcast, another thing we're famous for is asking questions because we're all stupid. So, I guess my big question of the day is, what was your favorite story that we haven't told?
That's a good question. I might need a second to think about that.
Because for me, the quick story I'll tell is all those eggs we use in that movie, we wound up cooking and eating them.
I remember, I think it was the first day of the shoot, and it's a big feature in our BTS video, where we were setting up for the alias interrogation scene, and I don't know. I think I'm walking to and from, and I'm talking about things, and we're going over notes on lights, on camera, on angles, on actors, on all these things. And as I'm doing these things, the room is just talking, and I think that there was two things that were brought up that made it all diverge into just big laughs, and all of us just joking around and fucking around as we were all getting ourselves set up, which was really fun. But I think it started with someone talking about making fan cams, and Chris going, Is that OnlyFans, or
he goes, so is that only for fans?
Is that a site only for fans? Yeah. And then I think that led to somehow Jonah saying something about leaking.
Yeah, there's a moment. The word leaking kept getting brought up for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't have the context. But so we're setting up for a shot.
I'm leaking.
And I'm ADing, so I come up, and it's a shot on Chris. And I go to slate, and I'm scene whatever, take whatever. And right as I'm about to say Mark, Chris leans into me and just goes, "Careful, I'm leaking." And I fucking bust out into laughter. I ruined the take before we got the take. I don't know, what's a good pledge for Spoonful? I was just gonna say, go watch Spoonful.
Yep, there you go. Our pledge for Spoonful is go watch Spoonful.
Robin and I will watch.
Make sure you have your spoons.
Robin and I will also rewatch Spoonful, especially because I don't know how many times Robin's rewatched it since it came out.
Maybe it'll be a vibe.
Perhaps too many. I've been KJ Collelo.
And I'm Robin Campbell.
Bella ciao, y'all.